You know what, Fletch? It's frigid. It's frigid up here.
It certainly is. You sound awful, man. How you feeling?
Oh man. You know, when you get this nose stuffed,
Ooh,
let me tell you, it's a major undertaking to clear it out.
that's like during the depression. That's like a WPA project getting that thing cleaned out.
I'll tell you what, but I hopefully can save a country by the government paying to come clean out my nose.
Just think how many people you'll put to work.
I feel good about it. I feel good
Yeah,
about it. You know, how many people can say that? Your nose isn't big. You can't say it.
I cannot.
Yeah,
I cannot. And I have no bridge, so my glasses fall down all the time. So
that's the
yeah, I'm,
greatest
I'm
thing.
thinking about growing a strategic wart to put up there, so that
Again, when the WPA is done with my nose, I can send them your way.
beautiful. Thank you, sir.
All right. You know what? It's what's good for the country, Fletch. That's the main thing.
Yes, yes.
All right. Yeah. No, I know. We're going to bring up something fun to start with. Then we're going to get into some pen talk with a secret guest, Fletch. A secret guest.
Oh, secret guest.
So, I just this Wrexham documentary.
Incredible.
Is it not the greatest stuff in the world?
It is. I mean, and you care about each one of these people.
You do. You do. And this is your first soccer crush.
It is. It is. I might actually learn to like this game. I don't know.
It's fun how the communities. I mean, think about how big. What's England? Big as California?
Eh,
And
could be.
every community has its. I mean, 30 of the communities have stadiums where they're filling 60 to 80,000 people. But there's like 5 levels. One, two, three, four. Yeah, 5 levels. 4 in the major thing, and then the one that Wrexham was in that they were stuck for 15 years at Ryan Reynolds and what's a McElhaney. Yeah,
Yeah.
forget about him.
The man who goes through life as the other guy.
Well, but you got to respect him to the fact that he takes that.
He
And
does.
he takes it well for the good of the project.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I've been wanting a hat. They finally got the hats in stock, and so I'm here. The SOBs put it in a bag coming from England.
Oh, what did it come mangled at?
It's got to work out. Yeah, I got some things worked out, and you're gonna love this. You're gonna love this. A replica of the championship medal.
Oh, very cool.
So I got that up there.
Well, I guess I need to Wrexham.
Please. Now we're going to talk Penguins tonight, and in celebration of the great show, The Masked Singer, which Viv just loves, and I go out of the room every time it's on. I know you're a music guy. I don't know if you appreciate it.
No, I cannot watch that.
But we have the Masked Pens Talker tonight. You don't even know who the Masked Pens Talker is, so
I do not. This should be a nice surprise.
You can ask some questions, if you like, or you might recognize who it is.
All right, let it go.
When we bring them up. Okay, Masked Pens Talker, welcome to our show tonight.
Thank you very much for having me on.
I can name that voice in one note.
Oh,
please name him, Fletch.
That's one Gary Kinn. Gary Kinn, how the hell are you?
Chris, how are you? Long time no see, both of you gentlemen, since I've disappeared off the face of the earth lately.
And you still haven't seen us, as you are the Masked Pen Talker.
Correct. That's correct. But I guess, is it my distinct, being a former California resident, is it my distinct California voice, Chris? That's
it is. It's just it's your lovely singing. I know you could probably sing.
Oh man, why do you got to do that? Yeah, you know that story.
So, you know the song he has to sing, don't you?
Yeah. I still carry the scars of Catholic school regarding singing.
So. No, aren't we all?
Yeah.
When they
Aren't
made
we
you
all?
sing, "You Never Walk Alone" back in Catholic school.
Boy, I hope that one's disappeared from the internet somehow. Particularly my. I think you
Gary-
guys accused me of lip syncing at one point.
You think it would have,
That was reported to me by someone else that you guys know.
but it's on YouTube, my friend. Maybe
Oh,
one
it's
day
out.
we'll bring it up. It's still out there.
It's out there. Yeah.
See what got me?
Too bad.
See that little thing, that little halo that goes around him? Talk, Gary.
Talk.
See?
Yeah. Isn't that great?
His little halo there when he talks.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
people in my life that's how they prefer to hear from me or see me. So that's good actually. So
Well, my friends, there is no better. You tell me, Fletch. Is there a better guy who knows hockey than Gary?
No,
Kinn?
sir. No, sir.
He's been on several projects with us. Knows the Penguin history like the back of his hand. Please excuse me. I don't have a button there. Tonight we're gonna.
You could have muted. You could have muted
I could, but I want people to
to feel your pain and share it.
be one with me. That's all I'm saying. Gary, talk again. Let me see your halo.
Pittsburgh Penguins.
There you go.
There you go.
So recently, Gary and I did a book on the 1910 Pitt Panthers. Perfect season.
Mm-hmm.
9-0. Outscored their opponents 282-0. The ultimate perfection. 9 games, 9 shutouts. Gary, tell me a little about what you loved about this project.
I mean, first of all, thank you for including me in it. I mean, you guys may remember, or you're probably aware. I mean, I just love that whole era, that 1880 to 1920, all sports. And college football in particular, to me, during that era, with all the challenges it had, the injuries, the violence, the deaths, the professionalism, even some of the stuff we see today was really prevalent in an area. Most people don't realize that today.
Yeah.
And, Dave, you were good enough to include me in one of the books. I can't remember which one it was, Pittsburgh First, I think, where you asked me to write about that team, which I knew very little. Because of that, you kind of called on me here, which I appreciate. And, it's just an amazing team. And Joe Thompson, the key figure in it all, both as a player, 2 programs in Western Pennsylvania, not just Western University of Pittsburgh at that time or Pitt, but also Geneva College, tremendous running back, defensive back. It went to Pitt, continued it, then ultimately became an amazing coach, amazing recruiter, and adjusted to major rule changes in about a 5-year period. So if you like college football, I think you really do need to understand that era, just like we always say.
Yeah.
And, it was just, you learn more every time you do one of those projects and you do that depth of it. You learn more than you ever did. Interesting information in there about Walter Camp, the beginnings of the NCAA,
Mm-hmm.
the college football environment at the time. So, and it's in a smaller book. So, it's something that for a lot of people, you can cover a lot of information very quickly. So I was honored to do it. I love doing it. Looking forward to the next opportunity.
So Gary, why do you think that this team is not talked about more?
I think the primary reason, Chris, is just it's so long ago. And, back then, and honestly, until, the 50s or 60s, nobody really talked about national championship teams. College football was very regional in that era.
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh didn't have the media coverage. I mean, everybody knows Walter Camp. Everybody knows about Yale and Harvard and even Stanford and Michigan. But they don't, or Chicago, and Stagg was there, or Heisman's, stops. But Pittsburgh, back in those days didn't have the national media coverage. And as good as the team was, there was a lot of teams that went undefeated in those days, and even some that were unscored upon. But they didn't do it in the fashion that Pitt did, and they didn't do it in the dominant fashion. And they didn't change the game in some ways the way Thompson did with, he didn't throw the ball as much as some other teams like the Carlisle Indians and some did, but he used everybody in the offense, something that we see is pretty important in pro football in Pittsburgh right now. Yeah. So I think it's not talked about because it's so long ago. And I think the University of Pittsburgh probably too has not done a very good job in this case, in particular, this far back. And even some other teams, Dave, as you and I have discussed in the 30s, that were national champion teams that are not really recognized by previous administrations.
No, and this team is better than a lot of those teams, if not most of them. It's an amazing story. We give our reason on why the university should recognize this as a national champion. Talk about Thompson. We he was shot 4 times in World War I, and he refused to go to the hospital each time. He eventually dies of the wounds he was inflicted. But this guy is an American hero, and I love the story. Buy it on Amazon. Good Christmas gift if you're a Pitt fan. But that's not why we're here tonight. We're here tonight to talk Pittsburgh Penguins. So my first question to you, Gare, if there's one thing people don't talk about enough as a reason for such a meh start, can I use that word, Fletch? Meh?
Go. And it sounds even better when you have a cold.
Exactly. It wouldn't sound good next week. So I got off to a mess start. What's one of the reasons you think that people don't talk about enough?
I think one of the things that nobody really talks about in the national media regarding hockey, but to me it's critical, and particularly for a team of this style and Sullivan's mentality, is the giveaway battle. When we've done some work together like this in the past, I've always talked about trying to be on the right side of the takeaways and giveaways.
Right.
When you're a team that pushes the pedal and you're not a particularly physically grinding kind of team, giveaways can murder you. Last night, if Jar doesn't stand on his head again, 16 giveaways, fellas.
Yeah.
4 per period. Now, people say, oh, well, giveaways could be anything. You just give the puck. Well, every time you give the puck away, particularly in a neutral zone in the defensive zone, that's a huge problem against certain teams, particularly teams that play the same way that they do, which I think in those Carolina and Jersey games, teams that also pushed the pedal and they blew those third period leads, you keep giving the puck away and you can't get out of your own end and you're pinned in, or you give it away in the neutral zone, you're creating 3-on-1s, 3-on-2s. And of the 21 games so far, similar to last year, they've been on the negative side of the giveaway battle 15 times.
Yeah, you're not going to win a lot of them.
Right.
But here's the thing that I find, at least on the positive side of this whole thing, Gary, is if you look at the numbers, 5-on-5, they're among the leaders in the league.
Absolutely.
They just got to get that power play going.
Yeah, I mean, and I have some thoughts on that. I'd be curious for what you guys' thoughts are on that. I mean, the one thing that I think is both a problem on the power play, Chris, Dave, and I think is also a problem on defense, we just don't have, and it doesn't have to be, a monster-sized guy like an Anders Lee or a Chris Kreider, but we don't have a net front presence either on defense or on the power play. No. And now you have Gensel, who's really kind of the one sniper, that they have. They have a couple shoot first players, Rust and Gensel, and it's good that they're on the power play. And Carlson at times is shoot first, and at times he's not, and he's been that way his whole career.
You're missing a Patrick Hornquist, though, Gary.
Exactly. We need a guy like that somehow. We got to draft somebody like that. We got to trade for somebody like that. We got to have a guy like that. Now, I'd love it to be a guy like Lee, who's about 235 in the island, or Kreider, who's about 230. Not a lot of teams have that guy anymore. But without that, and particularly, I think Sullivan has made very few adjustments too. Sometimes pure size can cause that positive. We got some big guys. Nieto's 210 pounds. He's not tall, but he's 210 pounds. We got O'Connor 6'3". Carter's probably at the end of his career. He's probably hung around a little too long like Brooks Robinson did. But the same token, he's 6'4". He's got 500 or 400 lifetime goals. I mean, how about a little bit of an adjustment here? I mean, Rust and Gensel are kind of the same player. They're good off the rush. They feed off Crosby. Now we got Gensel in the bumper spot with his back to the goal. It's not working that well. And a lot of perimeter play, a lot of pass first guys. Crosby's pass first. So is Malkin. So is Carlson most of the time that he's been here through the first 2 months. I mean, teams are willing to let them stay out there, if you notice. And a lot of power play goals come from garbage. Throw it on a cage, create some havoc.
Right.
Can't cross-check anymore, can't punch you in the back of the head, can't do those things. Create some havoc, get it there, and let somebody fish it out. I think we got some bigger guys to do it. And, look, Sullivan's had a lot of success here, but boy, I tell you, on this power play and some other styles of play and certain kinds of players, I mean, he's not adjusted.
Well, Gary, on that thing, and when you talk about Carter staying as long as Brooks Robinson, we saw this year what happened to Brooks Robinson. So eventually that could happen to Jeff Carter. But um, uh, what do you think if this continues? And it's just been like a bad nightmare of what had happened last year,
Yeah.
pretty much, and they haven't done. Does Sullivan survive midway through?
It's going to be very interesting. I mean, they just gave, was it last year they gave him an extension, or was it when
Yes.
the new ownership came in?
I think it was the new ownership.
Yeah.
They kind of follow the Steeler model a little bit, I think. I mean, they have changed some coaches, but they gave him some extra time. Like Bilesma's team's completely undisciplined, if you remember, against the Flyers and the playoffs and some stuff. They gave him a little more time. Terrian, nobody liked Terrian. He's had that issue wherever he coached. They don't make quick changes. I mean, I think it's going to be interesting to see. I think he will, but I think that you're going to see some things that maybe happen, because if you think about the playoff positioning now, there's 3 spots to me. Now, this is assuming you don't get wrecked with injuries, but 3 spots are guaranteed: Boston, Florida, Rangers.
Right.
Carolina, Devils, both been kind of erratic. Devils have some of the same problems as the Penguins lately, giving the puck away too much, not a lot of size, a lot of speed. I think they're going to turn the corner, and I think Carolina is going to be one of the teams in the playoffs as well. So now you're down. You got 4. By that you have 5 teams of the 8, and you have 6 teams scrambling for 3 spots, 2 of them being wild cards.
Right.
If they're falling out of that, I don't think they're going to change Sullivan, but I think you might see them have to eat some money, and we might finally see if it's a little alarming that with some of the issues with Carter, some of the slow starts for both Nieto and whatever, we're not seeing any of these kids that they talked about having some potential, other than Nylander, who got called up when Raquel went out on long-term IR. We're not seeing any of these kids be plowed in. Now, it's only 20 games, but I can see that happening more so, Dave, than them letting Sullivan go. But
yeah. I mean, I guess that's the thing we keep hearing. It's only 20 games, but there's some disturbing trends that we're seeing in that 20 games. I mean, Gary, I'm not seeing a lot of offense from the second line.
Nope.
I'm not seeing a lot of goals going in there. So that to me is a problem.
Yep.
Agreed. And you can't coach size. You just can't coach size.
I think you guys remember my comments on this all along. I like big wings. And now I do think I like a little bit of what I see. It's a very small sample.
First, Gary, before we go on, Fletch, do you see a new song coming out of that? I like big wings.
I cannot lie. That's what we need.
I like that.
There you go.
There, I'm sorry.
If there's one value for you guys tonight, it's that.
The other thing, Gary, is they're streaky, man. They're very streaky.
Yeah, I think that goes back to, I think it's the same movie as last year. I think it was you that said that, Chris. We have a lot of good starts, a lot of good first periods for the first 12 minutes. Middle of the game kind of gets a little flatter. End of the game, still blowing 2-goal leads, 3-goal leads. I think when you're trying to outrun everybody and you're losing a lot of the harder stuff, the board battles in front of the net, stuff like that, you're going to be streaky because, and then you combine the fact that they're always on the wrong side of the giveaways, it seems.
Yeah.
You're going to be on your heels a lot. So I don't think it's time to pack in the tent, but I think they're going to have to figure out something, both not just on the power play, but I think in some cases they're going to have to juggle some personnel too. He's been slow to juggle lines, which he was great at when he first came into the job too, and he's not doing much of that. And you're right about the Malkin line. Malkin's had a great career, and he's never gotten the credit a lot of places that he should have, even in the
agree.
NHL. But the one trouble with him is his wingers are important, because Riley Smith, who's a kind of a larger Hagelin, maybe a little more skill, Malkin holds the puck a lot. He carries it a lot. He carries it around the perimeter a lot, and you can see Smith being lost out there at times. So how much longer are you going to wait till you make another change? When Rust was with him in the early part of the year, that was functioning pretty well. It's not functioning all that well right now. So, and I think Raquel had that same issue a little bit too, although obviously something may have been wrong with him. But, if it wouldn't just be for the utter brilliance of 87 and Jerry's tremendous play, really, being left out there a lot more even this year than last, they wouldn't be anywhere near this point.
No.
Let's be honest.
Gary, Gary, talk about that a little bit. As bad as things have been, the top line has been superb. It really has been. Crosby and Rust at a +11, Gensel at a +8.
Yep.
Double-digit goals for both Rust and Crosby. Talk a little about that line.
I mean, the line's a perfect line from the standpoint of Sid does all the little things that nobody pays attention to, winning face-offs, getting rid of the puck quickly when he's being pressured, and when he's not being pressured, carrying it in. People don't realize how fearless of a player he is. Not many superstars like him go right between the circles to draw the defense with them. Most people in hockey never talk about that. It's amazing. He's got 2 shoot first players in Gensel and Rustin. Gensel in particular has just had chemistry with him from day one, and it continues. My worry though is, if you load up the first line like that, they've got to carry you. And to Fletch's point, when your second line's not scoring, a lot of teams then have a lot of ways to beat you. All you do is stop them, and if you stop them, you take a lot of offense away. And I think that's the risk in that. And that goes back to my point. I think it's time, if this continues, it's time to juggle a little bit. Put a little size in there with him. He's tried O'Connor. He didn't stick with it. He makes quick decisions on when he makes adjustments like that. He doesn't stick with it. He has a tendency to go back to the same guys. But, against good teams, remember how much trouble they've had when they played Carolina with the Martinuk, Stahl, Fossler. Right. Those guys will shut Crosby and Gensel and Russ down in a playoff series because the play's a little harder, can hold a little bit more, a little more physical. It's what Clutterbuck did, what Clutterbuck, Martin, and Cizikas did. I mean, sometimes you got to break guys up. And I think in the NHL today, I think you want to try to get at least reasonable offense out of all 4 lines if you're lucky.
Here's a stat for you, Gary. Of the 48 even strength goals that they've scored, 27 of them have come from the first line.
There's the point. 21 goals, you get 1 goal a game. And some of that is because of some good play recently. Nieto and Achari weren't contributing really anything, Chris, until the past 3 or 4 games. So, and Malkin probably has, of those 21, Malkin probably has what? 9 of them? 10 of them?
I would say, yeah.
Yes, 10.
So, I mean, you're not getting enough offense out of everybody else. Now, in their defense, which is why I say it's not time to throw the towel in, when they changed half the roster. I mean, you got of your 18 skaters, you got 9 new skaters. Now they may be veterans, a lot of them, but hockey's like basketball. It takes a little while to get some chemistry, but I'm still concerned about, we can't stop people from getting to the front of the net, particularly when the game's going against us. I mean, Graves has been a mystery a little bit. At 6'5", 220, he's not a huge punisher, but, Pettersson has played actually better in trying to keep people out front, but we know he had trouble with that. You can't keep people out of the front of the cage. It makes Jari a lot more vulnerable, and we don't have anybody to get in front of the cage either on the power play or when we got a cycle going. And I don't know how you fix those 2 things without some personnel changes. You can try a few guys, but I'm not sure it's going to work.
Well, one thing I wonder now. We were Duquesne students with Gary way back in the day. We had that powerhouse Playboy Sweet Molly duo or 2 teams in deck hockey.
Yes.
It was street hockey at that point.
Street hockey.
There was no deck. There was no deck to play on, Gary.
I don't know what that term means. So,
is there anybody that can pop a stick butt into somebody's ribs on this Penguin team like I could with the Sweet Mollies?
Doesn't seem like we have it, Dave. You got to get your skates on, kind of get back in
but
shape.
That was the thing. We didn't have to put our skate on in street hockey, Gary.
No, we did not.
No, we did not.
And it was asphalt we were on. We were tough men.
That's correct.
You like how the cold is making my voice.
Well, I got to relive something with you guys from those days.
Please.
The technology was different, as you recall. Now they have hockey balls that designed for all temperatures. So if it's cold out, you use this ball because it's not going to get to be like a brick. Well, I was not a man to wear a cup. Let's just say that. And I still remember the day. It was a February playoff game, and I took one square. And I just remember lying on that snow-covered asphalt court, thinking, "Oh, this part feels really good because it's really cold." That was, and the worst part about it is you recall there would be a lot of people watching playoff games, and I could hear the crowd just go, "Ooh."
Yeah. I remember it well.
I don't remember it, but I'm sorry for you that happened.
Well,
That's back when men didn't wear cups. Back in the day, Fletch.
Well,
back in the day.
These pansies now, they all have to wear cups.
Let me tell you something.
Please.
When it's 6 degrees out, that ball, it was not a pleasant thing.
It got really cold in January. It got really solid in January and February.
It definitely did.
Did you wear a cup?
Dave, don't forget, too, we didn't wear helmets or these goofy shields either. No helmets and shields. We were out there playing like we looked like one of those black and white films in the 50s.
Exactly.
I still have a scar on the back of my head from where I took a stick.
Right.
And had to go get a couple stitches.
Wasn't for me.
No.
Okay.
And then Gary, Dave, and I came out of retirement.
I understand.
Played in the league in our 30s, where we were the oldest people in the league.
You guys played for still the greatest nickname of all time. You guys played for the Sweet Mollies. So
Sweet Mollies.
Yeah, I remember this topic. So
yeah,
I did not come out of retirement. But if Sullivan asked me to, I would be that guy that would kind of play like Gary Rissling used to, if need be. You remember Gary Rissling?
Oh, absolutely.
Gary Rissling. So
I don't think Gary Rissling wore a cup.
I doubt it. Based upon his behavior on the ice, I would.
And he didn't wear a teeth protector either.
No, he did not.
He did not.
Well, Gary, there's probably baby pictures of him with those with that front.
So Gary, here's the thing though. Getting back to the Penguins.
Yep.
Usually, around Thanksgiving time, you have a pretty good idea of who 75% of the teams in the playoffs are going to be.
Yep.
So, what's your feeling?
I think it's going to look a lot like last year. I think that, as I said, I think 5 teams to me. Forgive me, I just don't have the recall like I used to. Let me find it here. I think. Would you guys agree, from what you've seen so far, because of depth, all the things we've been talking about, that Boston, Florida, and the Rangers are probably playoff teams?
Yeah.
Would you guys agree that there's a very good chance from what you've seen? New Jersey is surprisingly it's a good matchup on paper for the Penguins, but they have a tendency to make the Penguins look bad.
Yeah.
New Jersey and Carolina. Would you guys agree?
I would definitely put Carolina in that slot as a 4th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Toronto? I think they're probably in.
Most talented offensive team in the East, at least.
Yep. They've had a little bit of an up and down start too. But so you're down to, Chris, you're down to 2 spots, probably wild card spots in the following group, in my opinion: Washington, Pittsburgh, Detroit, potentially Buffalo, potentially the Islanders. I think the Flyers, we'll see. I like a lot of what the Flyers are doing now. But let's say even 5 teams. So you got 5 teams for 2 spots. I think it's going to look a lot like last year. And I think it's going to be dependent upon the same old thing it always is, just like football. Opponent injuries, who goes down, injuries you have. If we lose Jari, forget it.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't see it.
And they really didn't address the goaltending situation in the offseason.
Nope. It's my bitch with the cap. I mean, the cap, I think, has been held for so long. The league is probably making a lot of money from the ESPN Disney contract. Now we got sponsorship patches everywhere, on the ice, more places, on uniforms.
Right.
Kept the cap where it is.
Well, on the other end, without the cap, the Penguins don't win 3 more Stanley Cups.
Maybe, but the trouble is in the goal is where it's really hurting, Dave. Like a lot of people are talking about, well, you don't need a top flight goalie to win.
You do in the playoffs.
Without a defense.
I'm vehemently disagreement with that.
Yeah, without a defense, you do.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're going to play certain ways, if you play like the Islanders, you can have a goalie that's going to look a lot better because they're not going to give up any chances.
Right.
Same with some teams in the West. But if you're going to play the way the Penguins in New Jersey do, you got to have top flight goaltending. And the trouble is nobody wants to spend a lot of money on the goalie because of injuries and everything else. And trouble is a lot of teams are fairly deficient in the goal beyond the top guy. So I think, Chris, it's if they make it, I think it's going to be in one of the last spots. Can they put? I think it's the exact same movie, despite all the personnel changes we saw the last few years. Do I think they could upset somebody? Sure, they could. Crosby can win a series by himself.
Right.
He can't win 4.
No.
So I think we're going to see the same situation as last year. Could they pull an upset in the first round like Florida did last year with Boston? Sure. Can they go deep with the roster as constructed? I just don't see it. I wish I could say I did. I don't.
So if I put you on the spot here, as our segment's coming to an end.
Yep.
Yes or no? Are they in the playoff?
I think they're going to fail. I think they're going to fall just out of it again. Okay. That would be where I am today. Okay. And it primarily goes back to the fact that I think the power play now, this has been 3 years running with a power play that's in the bottom third of the league. We don't have any net front presence on it. Yep. We've got a fairly thin goalie. He's going to play 60 games again. His history has been to wear down, get injured.
Okay.
And I just don't see it, gentlemen. I wish I did.
Well, Gary, we appreciate your time here.
Thank you very much.
As always, there is nobody better in hockey than Gary Kinn, and your analysis is pretty much spot on. And we will have you back if that's okay.
It's been great to see you guys. Great to participate in this with you guys again, and I look forward to doing it with both of you in the future. Thanks for having me on.
All right,
Gary. Thanks, man.
Okay.
All right. Well, there you have it, Fletch. We're gonna cut off a little early tonight because, quite frankly, we're starting to get the WPA in need here. So,
my friend, I hope you feel better, and we will see you next week, hopefully with a clear sinus.
I'm looking forward to that. So, you have a good night.
All righty.
And we'll be back.